House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.
Half a day, one and all. Good to see you, friends. I'm Jason Salas here, and I'm joined by friends of mine here for another episode of House to Home, where we show you the world of real estate. Now, even though we live on a little island of Guam here, it's a business community. There is business to be done, and real estate does continue. And of course, I have the infinite wisdom and the wellspring of knowledge that continues to be Liz and Gina from Remax Diamond Realty Guam. And we have a good friend of the program who personally I have not seen since the pandemic started. My fellow now beard wearer, Joe Borja, the the director of land management. Joe, half a day. Very good to see you.
Half a day, Jason.
Half a day, Joe.
All right.
I haven't seen Jason, but he's always in the background.
And he's always working. I know that. I mean, Joe, the office is truly your home and everything. And we as the public, we greatly appreciate the very fine work that you and your folks do there. But we are continuing essentially our interview series here on House to Home, where Liz and Gina kind of just, break down the process of the different components and how the real estate transactions work. So, ladies, I know we're trying to be formal here, but you guys and Joe know each other very, very well, and you deal with each other all the time.
Well, I want to thank Joe for appearing on the program, because with the shutdowns and lockdowns, it really affects our line of work. So we wanted to ask Joe how, what have they changed in their operation as far as the recordation process with deeds for properties that have closed escrow, and I know they have a process. So Joe, you want to tell us what's going on your end?
Sure. Let me start out by giving a little bit of a background on land management. We actually have 5 divisions, and we have 2 very popular divisions, of course, which is records and planning, which handles these Guam Land Use Commission applications. But the 5 divisions in records, we are operational in records. The records library is open, but mostly to title companies. If the general public wants to do any public research, they're going to have to call up ahead of time. And we're going, of course, by the 6-foot distance. And we practice we have a mantra. We have 4 prayers here at Land Management. One of them is mask on. Second one is social distancing. And the third one is hygiene. And the fourth one is a culture of disinfection. Disinfect areas of high contact. So all of the divisions do that. But the records library, which is where people go to research transactions, find out deeds, find out certificates of title and like that, that's open, but it's really open to the title companies. If there's any member of the public that has an urgent need to research their property, and at least at this point, I don't really see any urgent need other than if you are processing a mortgage loan. And those things are usually handled by the title companies. Very rare does a private landowner come in and process their own mortgage. The bank does it and the title companies do that. The second part of the records division, which is operational, is the recorder's office. And the recorder's office, we have a slight change. People can still come in and record, but I'd like for them to call up and make an appointment to do it. With the title companies are recording, and it's a curbside drop-off, pickup type. They bring all their documents over, it's in a box, and they give it to, come to the back side of the recording area, honk your horn. A land management staff will come out, get your document for you, and pick it up and from you, go inside and record it and like that. Now, all of that recording is actually coordinated with the title companies. They don't really come there one by one to record, they do that. And we bend over backwards for the title company. Just as another issue here, land management is not a general fund agency. We operate on the money that we bring in. So if we bring in $1, then we operate on $1. Of course, at the end of the year, if there's a shortage, then the general fund kicks in. And if there's a lapse, the general fund, takes that money that we did. Right now, we're running about $250,000 short of what we brought in last fiscal year. so $250,000 short. Previous to that, land management was given a $90,000 cut in the previous year. So we've been lowering our budget down. The scary part about that is the budget gets lowered, but still seems like we're operating. You know, we're
Joe,
operating fine.
if I may, because the word essential is thrown around so much in these days of the coronavirus pandemic, and they say essential workers, essential companies, essential agencies, and I would dare to say that your department and the work that your staff does is incredibly essential to an industry that really does keep Guam afloat.
Definitely. The definition of essential, we had seek guidance from the federal government on that. And there was a guidance that came out that said basically that real estate transactions, mortgaging, recording, and like that, those are essential programs as defined by the federal government, but it leaves it up to the local authority to actually determine whether real estate transactions are essential. And the governor has said that it is essential, and that's why we're quote unquote open.
Oh, and Gina's getting that all too familiar smile on her face right now, which means she has a really, really good question, probably something that is also very lucrative to the public and private sector.
Yeah, let me finish off with the 5 divisions, and then records division. We're operational, but with limited CT processing, certificate of title processing, and most of the emergency certificates of titles are usually a sale or for bond purposes. And of course, the court is not operating, so we're not getting any requests for a bond or a collateral for a criminal case or a civil case requiring a certificate of title. The survey division, we have another division, the survey division. Survey division is actually 2 sections. One is the map reviews going on, which is probably related to one of the questions that you had. That's ongoing. Maps now are being required to be submitted digital. And so far, we haven't had any complaints from any of the surveyors. We did have a gentleman who claimed that he worked at a surveyor's office that insisted on submitting his map, on a physical thing rather than a digital thing. I think we took care of that situation. The other section of the survey division does field surveying and mapping. That really is not ongoing. And but we do activate that section on emergency and essential issues. So what's an emergency survey? Some guy closed off an access road, and we need to find out whether it's an easement or not. So we got to send a survey crew out there, do research work for that. And then, so what's essential for survey? Essential is, for example, the federal government fencing off an area in Dedido, and it so happened that for years and years, residents in the area were passing through that part of the federal property, and now the federal government has come into to a block of that access, not a legal access, it's an encroachment on their property. So we got to come in to make sure that it is an encroachment, and hopefully work with DPW to provide some other access to those people. And normally they have access on the map, not anything that's opened up and developed, for that. So we got to map that out so that this time around, when they put a road in, an access road, it is on the area where it's supposed to be. And then we have the planning division. Planning division works, of course, they do the ministerial work for the Guam Land Use Commission. And Guam Land Use Commission handles rezoning requests, variances, and conditional use. Now, when people say, oh, land management granted a rezoning for this, it's really not land management that grants that rezoning request or denies it. It's really the Guam Land Use Commission. We do support work for them from the planning division, and hosting public hearings out in the public for them, but the actual decision is actually made by the Guam Land Use Commission. We have 4 members on the commission, or 4 appointees. 2 of them have been appointed, confirmed, and 2 are pending confirmation hearings. And we have 1 more nominee that the governor's office is considering. I don't have the name for that person yet. But these applications involve rezoning requests, variances, and conditional use. in the planning division. Now, we do have, quote unquote, a backlog in the Guam Land Use Commission. We have right now a total of 8 applications that are ready for public hearings. These are, it's come to the point where we have the names of all the owners around the particular project, and we're ready to send these certified letters informing those surrounding landowners that there's going to be a public hearing. But of course, we're not having any public hearings at this time. Once the governor pulls the trigger on allowing congregations of, say, up to 50 people, we will be working on having public hearings. So we have about 5 in Derido, 1 in Barrigada, 1 in Talafofo, and 1 in Tamuning that are ready for those public hearings. And that's a real important part of the process for that. We actually have, I think, an estimate from one of the consultants that I made, maybe close to $1 billion worth of project that needs Guam Land Use Commission and Department of Land Management. And
Joe, don't mean to interrupt, but we've got about 3 minutes left, and I do want to give Liz and Gina the chance to.
Oh, sure, please go ahead. The other 2 divisions are the IT division and the Land Administration division. But please, any specific questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer them.
No, thank you.
Hey, Jason, we could probably do a part 2 because a lot of that information he provided is very critical, especially the backlog in projects.
I saw you both nodding your head. I'm sure this is Shakespearean poetry to the both of you when you're talking about, you know, these transactions being pushed through. But please go ahead. We got a few more minutes.
Joe, I have a question for you. I know you're saying there's a backlog and you named a few projects, but we have projects, and this is for the Guam Land Commission. We've got projects that already went through the public hearing, but my understanding is because these board members haven't been vetted or approved or picked or selected by the governor's office, that this process, as far as I know, we've been waiting since about February for some of these projects. And what we've been told is the confirmation hearing on one person, and there's still the selection process from the governor's office. Is there a timeline? I mean, I'm worried that we're going to hit December and that won't be completed yet. So do you know if there's a timeline where this has to be addressed?
Yeah, you know those projects that were submitted in April, unfortunately, the very next month is when this pandemic thing kicked off. And then in March and April is when the terms of the previous members expired, right during the COVID thing. So there have been 2 confirmed appointees, Anita Borja Enriquez and Art Chan. Those have been approved by the legislature already. The 2 that are pending confirmation hearings are Lonnie Flores, a former member of the commission, and Brian Artero. And I do know that the governor has 1 more appointee in line. So lining up the people, that's already done. If, for example, but you are right, Gina, if, for example, the governor says, okay, have meetings and everything like that, at this point in time, we won't be able to have, because the Guam Land Use Commission does not have a quorum at this time, a sitting quorum. So yes, you are right on that. But given the time that, you know, the last term expired, the last board members expired, that was right around April. And of course, you would have that 90 days plus 3 legislative days to do it. But there was just no legislative action, you know, during that, immediately after the pandemic thing.
Okay, we
are working on that, Gina. We are working on that.
Is there a timeline? Because like in the private sector, we cannot just let things linger until the pandemic is over, because it doesn't seem like it's going to be over anytime soon. So does the government have, like, do you need to act within 90 days or else somebody's going to have to act for you, is my question.
Well, in this one, you know, pending confirmation by the confirmation hearing and pending legislative approval of those 2 appointees, I don't have a time frame on that, you know. That's the legislative schedule on that, you know. What I'm trying to do is make sure,
Is that a question?
We're going to have to plug them.
legislature?
I'm sorry?
That's a question we need to address to the legislature?
The legislature, that's right.
Well, maybe we could get a member of the legislature in here for part 2.
Okay.
Yes. Well, we
Actually,
still need
I'd love
Joe
to have
for
Joe
part.
on for an hour.
We absolutely. We still need Joe for part 2, but unfortunately, we are out of time right now. So let's get together again next week, and let's do this again next week. It's a fascinating topic. All right, Joe, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Stand by, Joe.
All right.
House to Home, presented by Remax Diamond Realty.